Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hippie Dippy Show. I'm Jeffrey J.
And I'm Cassidy Bowker.
And I'm Bo Bowker.
Ooh, and that's all of us.
That's it. Oh, yeah.
Welcome to today's show. Yeah.
The Hippie Dippy Show.
Yeah, we're back, and we're still going.
Episode 2.
That's what it is if it's posted in order.
I hope it is.
Me too.
Yeah, thank you to everybody who listened to the show, the first episode, and watched the show on the YouTube. And yeah, who left us comments, and we're super pumped to hear a new show. And that followed us on Instagram, Hippie Dippy Show. Make sure you spell it right.
Yeah, and that's I love the Hippie Dippy Show Instagram because it's just like a place for all things spiritual and things that are going on in people's lives and things that we see that are making us happy and feel better in this crazy, crazy time.
Yes,
Totally.
and it is continuing to grow. So we can grow with your feedback, with your comments, with things that you want to see. Feel free to message us and we will answer your call.
Yeah.
And another thing that we're trying to do with it too is to follow a bunch of people that we are inspired by.
Yeah.
And so it's worth checking out our Instagram just to see who we follow.
Yeah.
Because you follow any one of those people and it might be Cassidy's mom.
Yeah.
She's quite inspiring.
She is. But for the most part, it's, people that are sort of in this realm of the wellness and self-care and self-love and nature and
Yeah.
it's all that good stuff. And that's what we're about.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, so let's start with the check-in.
Woo! Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is, a moment where we can touch in with how each of us are feeling because we think it's important to do so for everybody throughout your day. Just find time, maybe set an alarm for yourself throughout the day of just a moment where you can touch in, look inward, and be honest with yourself. And right now with the YouTube world, about where you're at, and just, if nothing else, just a couple words of how you're feeling, what you're going through, and just accepting that for yourself and not judging it.
Yeah.
Letting it be.
Just because we can't touch each other doesn't mean we can't touch each other.
Touch in. Touch yourself.
Touch yourself.
You can't touch each other.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yoni eggs.
Yeah.
Hashtag. It's a different podcast. That's our podcast, just different episodes.
Yeah. So who's touching first? Who's touching?
I'll touch in.
Yeah,
I'll
touch
go
it.
first. So, again, I'm your host, Bo Bowker, and one of your hosts. And I'm touching into excitement. I feel very hyper right now, and joyful. And I feel a little bit ungrounded. I didn't get to do. I didn't do what I need to do, which is wake up at 5 a.m. To do my self-care routine, or some combination of it. So that often leaves me feeling a little bit off. Your wife will tell you a little bit grumpy, and Angel over here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love that when you go, as she'll agree, and then she agrees, and you're like, oh, you agreed with that.
You're supposed to. No, it's the truth. And so, I didn't take that time. I didn't carve out that time for myself this morning to do any of the things that fuel me and ground me, like meditating and journaling.
Cold plunge.
Stretching. Cold plunge is a big one for me. I cannot wait to talk about that on one of these episodes. And that's been a game changer for me. And yeah, I'm touching in with gratitude for everything that's going on with this podcast and show. I don't know what to call it yet.
Yeah.
But the Hippie Dippy show, when we finished last week's episode, when we finished last week's episode, I just had this. I was like high, like vibrating on this super high frequency, like I just did something so good for myself. And it just made me really happy, and just gratitude for, again, just the response that we've gotten from everybody, and people saying like, hey, I needed this, or hey, great to hear you and Jeffrey J back. And
or a podcast about my life.
Yeah.
yeah. Jen, shout out. And Scott Wilhelm, who immediately first comment was
Created
like, boom,
t-shirts.
here's a shirt.
Yeah.
The show.
I know.
And stuff like that is so cool. And just to hear, that it's already like inspiring people or helping people in some small way, like that is heart filling and so grateful. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at.
What about touching? What about touching? Touch it? What a great touch it.
Consider yourself touched.
Yeah.
Cassidy, what are you touching in with right now?
I'm touching myself.
Oh God.
You can't see my hands. That energy is contagious, and like
It is.
hyperness is touching me.
Yeah. How long is his hyperness?
Is that? Anyways, hi Mom. On the show. Okay, so let me think. Let me just take a second here, because I have a tendency to immediately say, I'm good, I'm great, it's all good. And that's just where I go, because I do believe that that's true. However, at the same time, I'm also feeling a lot of things. You guys. I think today I'm touching into, is this a phrase? I'm touching into some emotional weight. Even as I say that, I feel emotional. I can feel that trembling come up in the face, that that emotion needs to be seen and needs to be released. And who knows, maybe you'll get to see me cry. What do I look like? Do I have an ugly cry face?
Spoiler alert, every girl has an ugly cry face. People that say like, oh, I'm an ugly crier, it's like, yeah, no shit. Like,
oh my God.
Every
person, yeah. It's not just women. Yeah. Right, but.
Yeah, mine is like, because the chin goes away. It's just, yeah. And that was a fake cry. I'm an ugly fake crier. Yes.
When you guys were kids, did you look at yourself crying in the mirror? I remember, and Elise does this, our daughter does this. She will go to the mirror and she'll like go into the room. The closet is one of those mirrored closets, and she'll cry and look at herself. And I used to do that too, because I don't know, it was like an interesting version of your face.
Yeah.
Am I
interesting? No, I don't.
Place for being free.
But I also think that there's probably something. As long as you don't get self-conscious about it and try to change yourself while you're feeling real emotion, I would say that it's not. But if you're trying to like get yourself out of ugly cry face, then there would be a problem. No,
it was just like I thought it was interesting. Like I liked to look at that.
Yeah.
Eyes, or like I don't know. It was just really not in a self-absorbed. Just admiring emotion flowing.
That's beautiful. I like that.
So let's go a little bit deeper with when you say it's heavy emotion. Can you be more specific and name it? What are those sort of heavy emotions? Because sometimes we'll, it's, and this is for people listening as well, of course, and watching. When you are touching in, be as specific as you can of what is it? Like, what are you? Let's call it something. Mm-hmm. Let's label it. And that label might evolve and might not feel right away. Like, you might feel like, oh, it's sadness. And then it might morph for you into like, wait, no, it's anger. But as long as you're like, trying to identify it and then kind of figuring out, maybe you're expanding by talking about where it's coming from, where it might be coming from, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's important. But yeah.
Are y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
So ready.
So here we are, and we bring to you in this show the real, the honest, and the most vulnerable aspects of ourselves. So I am touching into grief because I found out that my grandma passed last night at 11 p.m. And we actually, had a year longer with her than we thought that we would. We got to introduce our babies and fly out and see her. I got to take 2 trips myself to go and see her. I had a beautiful, beautiful time saying goodbye, coming back, saying goodbye again, coming back, saying goodbye again. I mean, it was kind of a mind F, really.
Yeah.
But she did pass, and I got all the calls today, just a couple hours ago, and so yes, I'm touching into grief because it's real and I feel it, and grief wears many masks. I think that there's a lot of gratitude in grief. There's a lot of love in grief. There's a lot of sadness in grief, and fear in grief, and so I'm wearing all those emotions right now. It's complicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. And I think sometimes maybe, first of all, how cool that she stuck around. She's like the girl of the party who won't leave. You're like, I've said goodbye 3 times.
She is a badass MF.
I know.
It is. She's a tough lady.
Tough, brilliant broad.
Yeah.
That's so cool that you got all those trips when.
Yeah.
I mean, that's beautiful. And then she was like, peace out when like the world goes to shit. She's like, I didn't stick around for this bullshit.
I didn't sign up for this bull crap.
Yeah. Like, nobody can come and visit me. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason why she had we had these multiple opportunities to say goodbye is because originally Grandma Max, and it's even a badass name.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. She went out in the apocalypse. What? What? You didn't say how she passed. She was out on a 4-wheeler. She was looting.
Well, another badass. She was looting. She had decided another badass move like a year plus ago was like, I'm done. And she was just like, chose to go on hospice and like was just gonna die. And she was like, I'm done. I'm not having fun anymore, and I'm just sort of done.
The family was upset. We were all upset.
Oh my God.
The nurses were upset. And so she lived a long life. She accomplished many things. She has 9 children.
Yeah.
Children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
Her family is huge.
Mm-hmm.
She's inspired many people. I won't even get into all the ins and outs of her accomplishments. However, I lost my train of thought.
Well,
That's okay. And then she was done and everybody was upset.
Everybody was like, hey, could you not? Could you just keep living? And it was fascinating to witness.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was beautiful in so many ways.
Yeah, she had 9 kids.
Really,
let her rest.
And she was like, I think I'm just going to go. And it was interesting too, because everybody around her was like, no, don't do that. But at the end of the day, like, you have to respect or find peace or be able to hold space for somebody that's making that decision, because it's not about you. as much as you love them, it's not your call.
Right.
As a teacher and mentor of mine, Michael Gay said, being human is intense. Like, this is an intense experience, and we've got to. And it gives me chills when I say it, because it just brings empathy through my body for all the different experiences that people go through, and what they suffer through, and what they enjoy, and like, just we can't force somebody to want to stick around, and yeah, and look, she's 90 also.
Yeah.
When it's your time, it's your time. I do believe that, and I struggle with the idea of suicide and things like that.
Yeah.
This felt different. But then after everybody came and visited her, and like, it was this huge like family reunion, and Cassidy became closer to her family than she's ever been.
Yeah.
And it was a magical experience. I think it's fair to say. And she afterwards, she was like, "Yeah, you know what? I think I'll stick around." And it was like, all right.
Well, she bumped into some old friends in the community that she was living in, and she said, "I think I'm going to stick around." And so she scratched that plan, canceled the hospice people, and
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Just one last power play.
Yeah.
Just like, I knew you guys could visit me if you really wanted to, and I
Right,
proved it. And then, like, and also, too, how beautiful is it to accept your fate, your oncoming fate, and the end of your life? So many, like, I have one grandparent who she was very scared for the end of her life. And how beautiful, even if it's way too early, to be like, yeah, I'm ready.
Right.
You know, like, I want to be, you guys have she had 9 kids.
Yeah.
You had 2 kids.
I know.
Like, God, I'd be ready to check out next year. So, I'm done. And then you live, 42 more years. But just you were ready, by the time they were like 5.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing. It's so wonderful when you get that moment with your grandparent, when they know it before they're too invalid to not speak or understand you or remember who you are.
Right.
I mean, there's so much beauty in that, and you wish that on anyone.
Right. When you have those final moments, with not even just a grandparent, like with anybody in your life, when you have that opportunity to express your love, your gratitude, because we do unfortunately take days for granted, and allow the little things to get to us, and we do that sometimes too. So, I do feel, like I said, when I said that I feel a lot of things in this grief, I feel a lot of gratitude. I mean, I have to just keep tapping into that gratitude. And yes, after this podcast, I'll go take some time, sit in the sun, probably cry it out.
Yes.
How long?
And please, please do. And if you need to spend the next hour on this podcast just crying,
I thought you were going to say, and please, go on Instagram Live.
Let's see it.
This is the Cassidy Cry Hour.
Rate my cry.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to ugly cry face. Well, thank you for being here with us and showing, any part of where you're at in this, because it's amazing, and I think you're so beautiful in being able to even express that and understand that you're also not putting off, your grief. You're just having a different moment right now, and so anyways, it's beautiful that you're here. When you told me the story, because you were at the grocery store and you were like, hey, we're gonna be late because I was at the store and I realized I took the car seats. And then my grandma died, and I was like, and I
call and say, "Hey Jeff, my grandma died."
yeah. You started the story with like, isn't it hilarious? I took the car seat so the babysitter couldn't leave. Also, grandma died, so we're gonna be a little late. And I was like telling Emma, I was like, this kooky story turned into, I was like, this is the most amazing conversation I've had. Can you believe it?
That's so funny.
And it's just so wonderful that, like, even now you can just bring this little bit of humor into our life, because it does make it easier to talk about and deal with, as long as I really do deal with the grief and the real emotion. I do think that talking about it in a humorous way is still so helpful. Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable, so that little part's going to come up over your screen while you're watching this.
Cool.
So, but that's okay.
It is okay.
I will say one last thing about this before we move on. My grandma Max would have told all of us to lighten up. Anyone out there is thinking like, oh, this is kind of insensitive. No, it's not. She would want you to be laughing. She would want you to lighten up. She would want you to infuse some humor into your life and play. She was the most playful person in the world. So
yeah,
that's that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just because I do want to get to Jeff's check-in, touch-in. But I had a moment that was exactly that the other day that it just reminded me of, that I wanted to share with you guys. I was doing again, in the last couple of days, I'm not sure what it is, but like a lot of stuff's been coming up for me and I just don't feel as grounded. I feel like I need more self-care and more meditation to like really hold myself grounded and grounding and ascending at the same time, sort of thing. And I was doing this super intense, like sort of ritual that I do of like stretching and moving and breathing and meditating and praying and sort of thing. And I was really dropping in deep. I was really in it, and I was in the backyard. And there's an apartment complex real close by, and someone started blasting "Me So Horny." And like, I mean, and I was like, huh. And like, and you can't be helped but like be pulled out of your deep like meditative state where I'm like seeing colors and shit like that. And then all of a sudden like, me so honey, me so honey. And like, and it wasn't just like, it was the whole song. Like they played the whole song, and like I laughed.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, everything is a message, and like to me there's and I know this to be true, but I'm sure there are other people who be like, well, not everything, but I don't see it that way. Everything is purposeful. Everything is a message. And that was lighten up.
Yeah, that is great.
Good. And again, and that's part of what this show is, the Hippie Dippy show. Laughter is medicine. Like laughter is medicine too. And I refer to a lot of things as medicine, and something that I learned with the Sacred Sons when I did my retreat with them. I'm going to talk about that all the time.
Good.
Because it was very recent and so transformative for me.
Yeah, now you're wearing that hoodie.
Yeah, look at this. How do you feel about this, Jeff?
Yeah. I feel like if I wore that, you would never let me live it down. You'd be like, oh, nice. Oh, where'd you get that? An Indian reservation? You're white. And then you just...
I got this in Guatemala from a Mayan man that I met. Okay, he sold it to me. It was quite a beautiful exchange.
Yeah, and I love it. But Bo wearing it, there's so many things that Bo would look at me and go like, nice job with that. And then I'll turn around and he's like, wearing something kind of like it. And I'm like,
that's the thing. That's why we're doing a different podcast, because I have changed,
yeah.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I'm less judgmental. I'm more go with the flow.
Yeah.
And, which was always like a principle of mine, was like, hey, go with the flow, Taoism, blah, blah, blah. But I still had that, and I feel like it's part of my comedic mind is the judgmental side of me, and I'm a very harsh judge. I've been a very harsh judge of myself and a very harsh judge of others, and I'm trying to heal that.
Yeah.
So now my wife bought me a Guatemalan hoodie.
And it looks fantastic on you.
Wearing it real hard, and I love it. And
It's so wonderful.
Stuff that I don't know what it is, but yeah, it speaks to me.
I love it. I love it. Also, just for anybody who is watching this instead of listening to it, again, we are in quarantine, so my partner Emma, who's wonderful and beautiful, and I will talk shit about in a moment, because that's part of my check-in. She is working here, so you'll see her back and forth. Her desk's over there, and she films and stuff. So, just so everyone knows.
I am.
There's an intruder in your house, Jeffrey.
I'm being looted. So, for my check-in, I'm feeling. I have set an intention to accept everything that's going on in the chaos and take it and be grateful for it. And I had a moment extremely similar to your me so horny moment about Cassidy is into cacao, and we are going to talk about cacao in depth on another episode because I really want her to, and this is basically me getting a free one-on-one about cacao. But I decided, because I went over to you guys' house one time, and we had it and set our intention for the day, and I loved it. It was lovely, and I want to try and get off coffee, and I loved the feeling that I felt.
It's a good way to do it, yeah.
Yeah, so I decided I was going to get it. So this morning I went and I found some cacao paste, and it's not the crazy good, amazing cacao that Cassidy recommends. However, I said, you know what, if I can get as close as possible, I'm taking that step and again accept where I am and what I can get it, and I got it for $8 instead of, like, I know I'm gonna invest and get the really good stuff, but I figure that any start is a start.
Absolutely.
Totally, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
And that was beautiful what you said too about accepting where I am.
Yeah, I'm at an $8 cacao right now instead of a 50. But I'll get there. And so I went and got it, and then I went and got a scale too, drug scale for weighing it. And yeah, you need a drug scale, the little weighted scale for it. So I guess you could use it for food too, right? So I went and bought those two things, and I came back, and I'm like, I'm gonna have my first cacao. And I looked up all these recipes, which is very simple. It's just to start, I like things that taste gross. I like things that are bitter, things that taste like grass, things that have no sweetener in it, just things that taste like mud. And my body just loves it. So, do what?
Is this a medical condition?
I think my body has been trained to know when things are super good for itself, and it tricks itself into liking things that are gross. And I love it about me. It just means that I can never cook for you. Because Emma walks over and it just looks like what I eat looks like a pile of seeds and grass and mush, and it smells gross.
Yeah.
Bottom line, I went and got this cacao, and I was like, oh my god, it smells so amazing. And I brought it over to Emma, and I was like, smell this. Doesn't it just make you feel high just holding it in your hand? And she's like, it smells like chocolate. And I was like, all right. Okay. I'm just in full gratitude mode, and okay. But I'm not going to say anything, and I'm going to walk back. So I walked back, and I got all my cacao, and I melted it, and I chopped it, and I was just in full gratitude. And as I went to pour it out, and I was like, what is that? There was a massive bug, this as big as your thumbnail, in my cacao. And I had cooked it in there. And I was like,
Wait. Was it from, like, it was in your pan already?
Probably was in the pan. I don't think it was in the cacao. So, yeah. Indeed. And I was like, no, I'm gonna drink this cacao. I've made it. This is my journey. I've heated it. It's fine. I scoop the bug out, and I'm like, this is my cacao journey. And I get ready. I get my cacao. I'm like, I'm gonna drink my bug cacao. And I'm in full gratitude mode, and I'm just about to drink it, and all of a sudden, blasting from my partner's speakers, straight out of Compton, just,
God.
and I'm like, everything was just a comedy of errors. I couldn't get anything right, and everything. I was like, this is it. And I started laughing so hard as I was like in the middle of setting my intent. I was like, this is exactly, it wouldn't have been as fun if my first time trying to do this beautiful ceremony that was just, I almost wept when I did it at your house, if it wasn't just this a bug in it and I can't find it, and then this is fucked. And then all of a sudden I'm trying to set my intention, and then like trying to share this moment, and my partner's like, it's gross and it smells like chocolate, but it doesn't taste like chocolate. It's like this. So I am, at the end of it though, I was just so grateful, and the cacao probably helps because I just feel high.
Yeah.
But just like everything that happened in this was me being grateful for what was going on and just being okay with it, and loving that that's the worst thing that happened was there was a bug in my cacao that I could afford to go and buy.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just that bug. The bug did something with its life. It probably died high as shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right. It was super grounded and grateful.
Yeah, it was.
And you consumed it. That's it.
I did not consume. I consumed its essence, I'm sure, enough.
Yeah, sure.
But I threw out the bug.
Wow, energy lives on through Jeffrey J.
It does.
Animal inside of him.
I don't know,
Yeah.
cacao screwed up my veganism.
Oh,
man.
man.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, anyways, that's where I'm at, and I'm excited for you to share when we do get to the cacao episode, all about the cacao, and share this, because it is such an interesting beast.
Jeffrey J, thank you for sharing that. I would like to say also that's really important. What you just said, you conveyed the message of not being so rigid with your ritual.
Yeah.
And I think that we tend to we really want to honor something. We really want to honor ourselves. It has to look this way. Otherwise it's, I'm not doing it. And so, yeah, that releasing some of that rigidity helps us to become more flexible and still carve out our self-care time. And it's okay if it looks a little bit different. It's okay if there's a bug in it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bug in my cacao. You were in Guatemala eating it straight off the trees, and you didn't get a bug in it. I'm here in California. I bought it in a bag. I didn't have the bug in my cacao.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, that's something that I'm really constantly working through, is letting things be as they are in terms of like my self-care and that sort of ritual. Because I've discovered over the last couple of years that I am a perfectionist. And so if I can't do something the way I know it deserves to be done, whether that's calling a friend because I want to talk to this person when I'm clear-minded and when I have an hour because he and I go deep and things like that. And so what happens? I never talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about journaling later. That's something I do with journaling too, where it's like, I don't have an hour to write and I want to write it the way I want to write it. And I want to tell this story, and if I can't do it that way, then a lot of times I won't do it. But we'll talk more about journaling later in the show.
Yeah. Or now.
Yeah, let's talk about it now.
Let's talk about now.
I mean, for in our check-in, because a huge part of my life right now, if you don't mind me starting,
Please, yeah.
is how important journaling is. And I love that both of you journal, and everyone journals differently. And I am a firm believer of there's no such thing as journaling incorrectly. And there's a million different types, because I do 2 different types of journaling. And the one that I restarted up today, which thank the universe, thank God, thank whatever you call it, the spirit of the universe is something I learned. Sometimes people have a problem with the word God and things like if people do 12-step programs and such. So there's a million different versions of it, and somebody said that they used spirit of the universe. And I was like, I love that, because spirit of the universe, SU, I can call it Sue.
Yeah, or you can call it Gale, right? Anybody? Frozen 2?
Oh, Gail.
Damn you guys.
Aunt Carol. Betty. You can call it anything.
That's right. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, and we all really subscribe to that. It doesn't matter what you call
whatever it is.
You know?
Yeah, and I think that it's all the same thing. I think some gods are just more racist than others. Anyways, the universe has been so good to me lately, even with, losing all of my jobs. And I guess I say that to be like, I'm unemployed. But I don't like the word, and I think words have power. So I'm just, free right now. Cool. One thing is journaling, and there's 2 different types of journaling I do right now. One is I do bullet journaling, and that is more of like keeping track of your dates, times. It's more of like a daily log type thing.
I'd never heard of that.
It's amazing. And
what does that look like?
Bullet journaling, and one of the things about it, bullet journal, and what's great about this being a video podcast, so I can kind of show you, but I'm not going to get super into it, but I can kind of show you. But bullet journaling, it uses like a journal like this that's got dots on it.
Is that kind of like a graph?
Yeah, I just showed it for a second. It's kind of like dots on it.
Okay.
And yes, this is my bullet journal. I bought it on Amazon for like $9. And instead of making a book, like using a date book that you'd buy at the store, you make it your own book. So you can.
Oh.
And when you do that, one of the things that's great about building a bullet journal is, you ever get like a calendar type book and you're like, well, I don't even want this part of it, or I do want this extra part of it, and then you're carrying it around and you're like, well, where do I put notes in it, or like, where do I put this in it, or like, now I want to track habits, but now where the heck do I put that? I didn't put it at the beginning. The way a bullet journal works, and there's a million. Here's the thing. This is what's great about this. You're not going to learn about this shit from me. You're going to hear a little bit of it and then go on YouTube. There are thousands of videos on bullet journaling.
Really?
And not only are there thousands of it, but then you can find the ones you want, because people are so creative and artistic that they will make it look like something you almost don't want to do, because you're like, mine can never look as good as theirs. They make it look pretty. I do mine very easily. And one of the things you do is that anywhere you have an index, and this will be really quick, I won't go to. You have an index, anything new that you put in there, you just put the page number on it, and that's the next thing. So say you're halfway through a week, and you want to put gratitude on here. You put it in there.
Yeah, look at you. That's
I know. This one was important to me because I wanted to try and write something I was grateful for every night before I went to bed. And then I put a little date on it so that when I finished March, I could go back and look and see on what date I was grateful for something. Like on the 2nd, I was grateful for shared TV interests with my partner. And that is just something so little, but it was like the fact that we both wanted to watch the same thing was something that in that moment I was grateful for. And then on another one, it was I really loved my partner this month. It was a good month for her.
And that's one of the great benefits of keeping a journal, is so that, like, you just had this moment I saw where you're like, hey, look at that. Mm-hmm. Look how grateful I am for my partner. Like,
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about the bullet journal. So this is why I'm bringing it up, is because, and you can look into it all you want, but whatever ends up happening in it, I've got one that's just lists and etc., one that's just a brain dump, and that's just random thoughts that I wanted to throw into, I wanted to, hey, said I found 10 buckaroos at the farmer's market. I wrote that down. That's a thing.
You write buckaroos?
Hell yeah, I did.
That sounds like you found 10 small cowboys. Hey, little buckaroos, come on home. We're having a swingers party.
Yeah, I did write down buckaroos. That's how I write.
Buckaroos. You're adorable.
You're so cute and
just
creative
to
and
yourself.
awesome.
Like, no. I mean, I find you adorable, but like that's something that nobody knew that a podcast was going to, or you was going to see that, and you're like, I'm writing buckaroos for myself.
Yeah, I
read the word buckaroo.
I know, and it's because I know that I can re-cheer myself up at a time whenever I'm looking through this, and a huge part of this is all crossed off dates and loss of job. And amongst all of this and looking through these crossed off dates and things that are no longer, I have these moments of joy scattered in there that I can look at and experience again. And that's why bullet journaling is so powerful, because it can be anything you want it to be. It can be as cute or as silly. I have one thing that's tracking my habits. How many days did I try and play the guitar today?
Cool.
I'm learning the guitar as like a meditation thing. So anyways, that's a bullet journal.
That's so great. Well, and so would you say part of what I'm getting from it, because I've heard, my therapist has told me about bullet journaling and I never did it. And now I'm a little bit more inspired to do so. Like, it's really cool and very creative way of journaling. And also, would you say part of what I'm picking up from you is that it's less verbose, it's not like long form, like on April 23rd, 2019, I did this, like, which I'm not knocking that, but
right.
It might not be for everybody. Or some people might think like, hey, I'm not that good of a writer, and so they're kind of like self-judging or whatever. And so something like this might be more accessible, you think?
Yeah, one of the things about it is that it puts all right, here we go. On Friday the 6th, I have a note. A violent man walked into my house.
Is that real?
Yes.
What do you mean? What did he do? Why was he
I forgot I never told you guys. A guy broke into our house and I was inside the house, and then this is a whole story that I never shared. And I ended up, like, he came into the house. The only reason I know he was violent, because after he left my apartment, he walked in as I was getting ready. I was like, get out of here. You're not in the right house. Then he tried to break a bunch of other people's houses. Then he beat the crap out of somebody down.
Oh my
yeah. And the only house he actually got into was mine. So anyways, we're going to a court with it. He was high out of his mind on meth. Yeah. And the poor guy, like, all I do is feel like sympathy for him. The prosecutor called me and asked, like, what do I think should happen to him, and how do you want to, go against him, etc. And I just said, I just want him to get help. I don't want anything worse to happen to him. He was not violent towards me. I think that he was high, and I don't want the book thrown at him. I just want him to not break into anyone else's house and to hopefully deal with his drug problem. Yeah. That's what I want, is for something good to come out of this for him, and not for his life to be destroyed, because the guy was trying to get me to, like, come at him.
Sure.
And anyways, bottom line, now I have this written down in like a little line, and if I'm writing about it later, I've got this somewhere else. But this is just about accessible, like, life things and not being scared to like commit to a journal, because that's a big deal. Is that sometimes you're like, I want to start it, but so much commitment and you're scared to put something down on paper. At any point in the journal, what makes it so accessible is that if I want to write something different, it goes on the next page. Doesn't even matter what point in this journal you're at. I was halfway through my month when I wrote down Hippie Dippy show. And now I have a whole Hippie Dippy page in here. So it's about creating a journal where you don't have to be scared to add something to it, to change it, to forget about it, to look back at it. And also, because you make your own pages, you become more invested in it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of this journal because I wrote down Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday 18 freaking times.
Right.
And I want to look back at it. So there's all these little brain tricks it does.
Yeah.
And it also helps you feel more accomplished, especially in quarantine. Like, there are things that I have to get done, and still making yourself make a list make you feel like you didn't waste your life.
Right.
Just by doing laundry, just by saying I got these things done today, that I took a moment to myself on this day. And another thing is, I'll put my mood on it, is like if it was like how positive I felt, and then I can see the things I did that day and how it affected my mood, and when I didn't do it, why it was a crappy day.
That's so interesting, Jeffrey J, and I love that. And I love that it's so creative. It's a form of creative expression. And this is like, right, there's so many layers to our beingness. And just the other day, yesterday actually, I was sitting at the table. The kids were eating some food. One of our family members was here. She was nannying for the kids. And there was Play-Doh still out. And I was feeling a little bit, not stressed, but just I had a lot of energy. I actually had just come from a cacao ceremony. So yeah, I had a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So I just looked at the Play-Doh. I thought, oh, I'm going to squeeze some Play-Doh. And she asked me, she's like, are you feeling stressed? I said, no, I just like need to get some of this energy out. And it felt so good. And then I thought to myself for a second, like, I don't have like many ways of tapping or tuning into that child's aspect of myself. Not to call this childish, it's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying I think it's so beautiful, and it appeals to me because I'm seeing this. I'm seeing all your colors, I'm seeing the creativity involved, I'm seeing you're doing things by hand, right? And I think that's what's so important about journaling. And like, to be completely honest, I don't journal. I rarely ever journal. I only ever journal nowadays because I tell myself that I lack the time. I only ever journal after like breathwork session, or after I've experienced, or if I'm in a class and I'm taking notes and I'm like writing out my own thoughts. Like, that's my version of journaling. I know you do. You're like more active in your journaling.
Yes, journaling is something for me that is so beneficial, and it's really crucial. And I will say I don't do it enough because, as I was saying earlier, I put those restrictions on it. I've got to have this much time because I've labeled myself a writer. I consider myself a writer. I love that form of expression. I love writing beautifully in the words and things like that, and put a lot of and it stops me from it's.
We're good.
Yeah, we had a little bitty of an internet thing, but life happens. We're back to perfectly fine.
And so. It stops me from doing it at all, and it's such a shame that I allow that. And this does the bullet journaling really does call to me, because when I say it, it's like, oh wow, you have OCD and you are so idiosyncratic, because it's like, if I'm writing something and it's like, oh, I'm going to come back to that thought, right? Like on a different day, because I don't have time to finish this expression that I want to do. And then it's like, oh, it's the next day, and now I want to write about this. I'll be like, okay, but that's not done. And space do I leave for that?
Yes.
Oh man, I want to add something there and I didn't put it in, and now there's no room and I don't like it.
Yes.
And
Wow.
so bullet journal.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So I have a separate one because we're comedians and other people might not. I have a separate one for comedy and everything. And the way I do that is in the same way that I have my key here in the index in the front. If I'm writing about something and I want to move on to something else, I just put the next page number where that continues.
Right.
And then I can keep going
Yeah, I really like that.
Yes.
and not lose it. And
I
again,
really like that.
and at another point too is that if you're like when you have that thought, that goes in my brain dump. And when I'm trying to figure out something, or it could be any thought or joke or anything, I just write it in my brain dump. And when I'm feeling like I do have a moment, I look back through my brain dump and I'm like, oh man, I literally just wrote I found 100 buckaroos. That might be a joke, or maybe it's just whatever. It is right next to a violent man walked into my house. It's right there. Like, and that's the universe balancing itself out too. But
Right. Hey, violent man walked into your house. That's about 10 buckaroos.
yeah.
Yes, I love that. And one thing that my therapist has recommended is mental institution. No, is she's like, just 5 minutes. Just set a timer and force yourself to stop after 5 minutes. Like, and then you've done it for 5 minutes, and then you can start stretching it out. And like, but what it does is it sets boundaries so that I can get out of my own way a little bit and not put that pressure on it of like, well, shit, I can't do it for 45, so I'm not going to do it at all, because that's not helpful. Like, and so the point is, get out of your own way, just find a way to get it out. I struggle to say that journaling's not for anybody, or that it's not for everybody, because I do believe that everyone would find, if you can find your modality of journaling, of a written dump,
Yes.
of emotion, of facts, of whatever, like even for like Jeff's saying, like with productivity, like those checklists. And some of us, I'm one of them, there's no better feeling than checking something off.
Oh my God.
How many of us will just put on something the most menial task because you're like, one free check mark.
Yes. I think that's more important than anything else. If you are depressed, when I had gotten in my worst amount of depression, putting shower on your to-do list or brush your teeth, that is arguably more important than any project, because if you can take the tiniest step when getting out of bed is the hardest thing in the world, especially right now, do it. Make it the longest list ever of tiny things that you've done. I always put clean on mine, because if there's even the tiniest thing that I cleaned in the house that day, that's a thing that keeps me doing one little thing every day. It doesn't matter what it is I clean, but you got it on there. And that's so powerful. And then you start to get high from the feeling of accomplishment.
Totally. Yeah. You build that momentum. And look, at the end of the day, like, it's all about emotion, and it's all about how you feel about yourself and what you're doing and feeling. It just goes more into the self-love and feeling like you're enough. And oh, there's that violent man.
Yeah.
There's that violent. Run.
Oh God, I love you guys.
So, yeah, it's just, I think also, do it with a pen and paper or a pencil and paper, because there are studies that show that is a different experience and a different expression, and sort of, again, doing things with your hands, touching and feeling, and the feel of a pen and the ink going across the page. you relate to it differently, energetically and emotionally.
Yes. And you can't edit it. And that's important. And to get to real, and I'll go real fast, the other type of journaling, because bullet journaling is more of a to-do list method type thing. But the other journaling I do every day is morning pages, which is the ones I started again this morning. And morning pages are amazing. They're from a thing called The Artist's Way. Right now, if you've got time in quarantine, it is the most powerful book you can ever read. It's a 12-week program. It's super easy. It's about unblocking yourself creatively. It's what got me into stand-up 12 years ago and to making my living doing it until now. But what morning pages is the easiest thing you can do in the whole world. You make yourself sit down the first thing you do in the morning. If you can wake up earlier than your kids, do it. If you can do it even just while you're microwaving or kids are eating, just try to write down 3 pages of complete stream of consciousness first thing when you get up. And that can be anything. Do not worry about grammar. Do not worry about punctuation. Don't worry about if you're going anywhere with it. There are mornings you wake up and you're going, I really feel freaking miserable today, and I honestly don't want to be writing these. Honestly, I just feel like I'd rather put on Tiger King and fuck off today, and everything else can fuck off. And now I'm still writing, and I'm only at the end of, and I'm telling you, I've got pages of just I don't want to write this, but I still got to get even more. And you'll get to that, and then the next thing you'll end up being on, honestly, I feel like I need to be drinking more water. And it doesn't matter what you're writing. What you're doing is getting all the shit out of your head that you never say out loud, that you don't think about, that feels so good to get out on paper. Then you close it up. You never look at it again. It's not for anybody. It's not even for you. It's just to get the crap all out of your head. Yeah. And then by the time you get a couple weeks in, you'll start getting some stuff out of your head that you didn't even realize was so buried deep under all the base surface level crap that when I first did this exercise, I didn't know I was going to be a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
And by the time I had finished that book, The Artist's Way, I had done my first open mic and I never looked back.
Wow.
But the kids show also came out of this. I was writing about what my real passion was and not giving a shit at all. And it just kept coming back that children make me happy, and doing a kids show would put real good out into the world.
Wow.
So that's morning pages.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I want to just say, Jeff J., you are phenomenal with that. With your show. I mean, the kids loved it. They love your show. And I think Jack made up a character based off of you. He calls himself James now. And I think it has to do with JJ.
You think so?
I do. Like, where would it come from? So he runs around, was like, I'm not Jack, I'm Jim James.
I love it.
Tell us the name of the show.
Oh, it's called JJ Time. It's called JJ Time because it was going to be Jeffy, and then there was a cursing puppet named Jeffy. And then it was going to be JJ, it's JJ, and there is a teenager, an angsty teen, who's got a very popular channel called It's JJ. It's just JJ. And so, through trial and error and figuring it out, it's JJ Time. Still keeping JJ.
And that's JAY, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, check it out if you've got kids.
Yeah.
If you don't have kids, it's a little weird if you watch it. But yeah, if you got little ones, they're going to love it. Like, it's just so natural and so fun. And because you have such a wonderful childlike energy, not childish, but childlike joy and enthusiasm, and you connect so well with children. And it's part of your beauty, Jeffrey J. And we love that about you, man.
Well, thank you. And what about okay, and what do you guys have to say about your journaling, or tips, or how do you journal differently, or because you're saying that you journal immediately after things, and that's never something I've done.
Yes, that was something, something that I started doing was journaling after every class that I went to for the Groundlings, for improv, the Groundlings school, because I know that if I can unblock myself, my goal that I set, that came to me in January of 2019, and it was, 30 some years of building up to it and figuring it out, and culminating in January of 2019, where I was like, I just want to be free. I just want to be free of whatever it is that is holding me back from being my complete and full expression of love and light and joy, because that is my divine birthright. That is my birthright. That is all of our birthright, is to freaking shine. And my belief and my knowing is that we are all just expressions of light and love. And we have that within us, and we all deal with our different blockages, that come up. A lot of it, I call the ego. And the ego for me is that little voice that tells me that I'm not good enough. It's that little voice that tells me that, what if it doesn't work? What if you fail? What if they laugh at you because you're so bad at this? You discover you were never that good to begin with. What if you find that this is the end of the road? What if? What? The ego asks those questions for me. It brings up all that stuff, and I got sick and tired of the way I was, the way I was being, because I wasn't being. When you're saying what if, that's future thinking, and that's fear. When you're future thinking, like, that's typically fearful thinking, unless you're like setting wonderful goals.
And the ego stems from our past, right? Past trauma experience and
right.
Words that people have said to us, societal expectations, assumptions, whatever it is. So
right.
That fear also stems from past and future.
Right, exactly. And so I was sick of it. And so I wanted to get free. And so I said, where are you asked to be totally free? In improv.
Yeah.
And what is scarier than improv?
Nothing.
Nothing. Stand up is its own version of scary, if you let it be. And I think it is.
I feel like it's easier because, like, you just don't, or you aren't relying on anyone else. With improv, I just feel like, oof a doof. You can be on this. You can both be great, but if you're not on the same page, it's fucked.
If you're not present in the moment, and that's also why I went for improv too, was because it asks you to be fully present. And to me, that is where the magic in life happens, is in the present moment. Because as Cassidy pointed out, pain and sadness and all that sort of stuff, like that sort of stuff comes from the past, and then the fear comes from future thinking. And
so I have a question.
Yeah.
Because this same conversation I had with my therapist, in air quotes, she's a reverend, she's a spiritual coach, Reverend Kathy Silva. I said that to her. I said, I'm feeling a lot of fear come up. She said that same thing. Fear stems from the past, stems from the future. And I said, well, what if right now, here in the present moment, it looks scary? Like, or that my example at that point was, or even to answer your point, it's like you're in the middle of an improv exercise and like it feels scary, like for whatever reason, you're intimidated, you can't quite get it out, like with COVID-19 and everything that's going on. It looks scary right here, right now, and yesterday, and maybe tomorrow, but I'm talking about right here, right now. And how do I work through that? And she said, close your eyes. And like I was closing my eyes. And for me personally, when I close my eyes and I kind of curl up into a cocoon, like I feel super safe.
Okay.
Some people might not feel safe closing their eyes, but when you curl up into a little ball, that feels super duper, super duper safe, right? So it's this present moment, here and now, internally,
okay,
that you have that all-knowing sense that yes, everything is okay. Everything is safe and secure. For those of you that are listening on iTunes or wherever else you're listening, we're all curled up in little balls.
I feel more scared like this. This does not make me feel okay. This makes me feel scared.
Don't curl. Just close your eyes, Jeffrey J.
I think doing this it makes me feel safe. Putting my heart out makes me feel safe.
Okay, good. So you don't have to. So
my hands on my heart.
My point
There
really
you
was
go.
give yourself a little hug, and then like if you're not closing your eyes, if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes,
Okay.
give yourself a hug.
Okay.
If you do feel comfortable closing your eyes, you close your eyes and you take a big deep breath, fill up, and then let it go. And with your eyes closed, you're not seeing what's outside of you. You're not seeing all that bullshit that's going on. Okay. Your ears could be covered. Maybe you're just in a quiet space. So you're not hearing all the bullshit that's around you.
Mm-hmm.
In this place, you have peace. In this place, you are safe. In this place, everything is okay here and now. And then open your eyes if they're already open. Let go of your little self-hug there. Take a deep breath and reintegrate, okay? Because that bullshit's gonna happen all around you. You are in control. You are always in choice.
Yeah.
And this is why the present moment equals peace. Because it's within you. It's not outside of you.
Yeah. I feel so safe right now. I feel happy. I mean, I did before, but I mean, like that you saying, and I have the added benefit of wearing these. They look like I look like a small child wearing his dad's headphones, but they're grown-up headphones.
I have my grandma's organ.
But I have this added like comfort headphones on right now that block out everything but your voice, and I just felt so in my own safe universe in that moment, and that was beautiful. I think I'll do that later and just like sit in my room and maybe put on classical music on with these on and just tell myself like I'm safe, and because that made me feel genuinely beautiful in that moment.
Yeah. I felt really warm, and safe and just at peace. Like it's like, oh yeah, this is what is. You know what I mean? Like it's not, oh, but what about this? And what if that? And it's just like that's what I loved about what you said earlier about buying your $8 cacao paste. You know, it was like you said, you're like, this is what I can do now. It's this idea of this is where I am right now. And the more we can accept that, accept our circumstances and all of that, and just go inward. And, you know, as Cassidy said, I love that phrase, you're constantly in choice. Mm-hmm. There are external factors that you must deal with. They're there, they're in front of you. But what is going on internally, that is the only real thing that we have full control of over in every moment is our reaction and our peace. I cannot determine your peace. You cannot determine mine. I get to make that choice. And in our relationship, we are together in part because we constantly trigger each other. As I've put it recently, my inner child is constantly being triggered by Cassidy's inner child. And I have a choice in every moment. Cassidy has a choice in every moment. Like I can sit there, and I have, and been like, fix your shit. Like, yeah, I know that I've got my shit, but you fix yours. And it's like, no, what I need to do is allow her is hold space for her, as we talked about. And let her go through her process, but at the end of the day, it's all on me.
Yeah,
how I react. And so
the journaling is good for that too. I'll see myself. I'll write out something about that I'm pissed off about with Emma, my beautiful, wonderful, lovely girlfriend. And and I'll write something out, and on paper, our gripes look so stupid. And they are. And then I'll go, no. Then I'll write it out and I'll go, it frustrates me that Emma's doing this. But honestly, I just need to get over it because, first of all, she's not doing this to hurt me. She's doing it because she fully believes that way. And honestly, I just need to accept that that's a thing that she likes and I don't like it, and that's ridiculous. And I'll completely change my mind about it with the journaling, and I love it because you get to call yourself out. Don't call me out. Let me call me out.
Right. Yeah, that's beautiful. Well said. That's so true.
That's true.
Yeah. And just one thing, part of my experience along with the warmth and the peace that I was feeling, did anybody else hear me so horny in the background? Or was that
It plays on a loop in my head constantly.
Light a candle in that quiet room and then start to touch in.
Just
okay.
That's a different voice recording.
yeah. Well, this.
I was gonna say something.
Yeah.
I interrupted you in your train of thought. You were talking about improv and you're talking about fear and you're talking about you really just want to be so free.
Yeah.
And my point was is that if any of our listeners had that same thought in that moment of, well, what if right now doesn't look so peaceful?
Mm-hmm.
Then how can I really trust the present? That my fears in the past, my fears in the future, my fear must be coming from right here, right now. So that was my point.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. And just to finish the thing about how my improv experience relates to journaling and being free is part of the way that I wanted to access that and be honest with myself about my experience was I would go to class, and then immediately when I got out, I would sit in my car and write as much as I needed to write about the experience. And I would write factual stuff and then how I felt in those moments. Because also what we can do, when we talk about future thinking and past thinking is when we've got a narrative in our head of like, this is the way I'm seen, or this is the way I might be coming off, or this is like what I'm used to experiencing, you can rewrite the history.
Mm-hmm.
Your ego mind will rewrite history and be like, and it will highlight the negative
Yes.
in the history, and it will be like, wait, was it really that good? No, because remember you had that one moment and you effed it up, like you dropped the ball and everybody knew it, you felt it, but now I'm ignoring, wait, but what about that one thing that I did that had everybody in that moment with me,
Yeah.
where I knew that I was shining the way that I want to shine, and not,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay for me. Like I said, I don't really journal that much, and you both are enticing me to start journaling again. I will admit it's true, because what's important and the intention is integration. Okay, so you have these experiences that could have been really bad or really good or somewhere in the middle throughout your day, every single day. Different things come up, and then you wake up and you do that day again, and maybe the same things come up, maybe they don't, maybe something new, and then you go to sleep and you wake up and you go to the third day, and so on and so on and so on. So do you want to heal your shit? Start integrating all of your thoughts. Start, writing it down. Well, I'm trying to connect it to your journaling. So I'm saying your journaling is the integration. Your journaling is the blending and pausing to identify thoughts, the assimilation, the bringing together.
It's your history too.
Yes, it's the reflection. And then you can build off of it. Like if you're not pausing long enough, if you just have like a life-changing experience, okay, well, I will say that's like a very umbrella term for anything and everything.
Yeah.
Like we just had a Zoom call the other night with our family. A lot of our family members were on that call, and it turned into a horrendous, awful argument.
Yeah.
And it was horrid. And do you know what? That was a huge life-changing experience with a big fat lesson. But if we went to sleep and woke up the next day, would have just been still upset. Everybody's upset at everybody.
Right.
And then continued throughout our day and carried and harbored and stuffed down and compartmentalized that hurt. And layer of integration, whereas like the pausing to identify, you know, why did this happen?
Yeah.
What was the reason for this?
So the integration, just to put I just want to understand it and make sure everybody else understands, is kind of doing an analysis or an honest reflection of the emotions that happen during an experience, and what light can you shed on it, or what does it dig up that might be a deeper issue or trigger for you, you know? Was that fair to say? Yeah. And so, yeah, certainly I think journaling can help with that, and meditating can help with that. Just, you know, because sometimes it's also releasing. Journaling, something like, you know, with the morning pages that Jeff talked about, like it can be just a release. Let me let this go, or let me, like Jeff also said, let me see what this looks like on paper. What was it? What is my experience right now, really? You know, and with no judgment too. Just get it out. Don't worry about it being creative. Rip it up afterwards.
Absolutely, rip it up and burn it if you want to. I found that journals for me have to be cheap, because then if they're not, I'm too scared to write in it. And so get yourself a journal that if you fuck it up, you throw it away. Get yourself an 80-cent journal. And I have millions of 80-cent journals around. They're the best thing to have ever, because you can write without fear.
Easy for you. Say you just found 10 buckaroos.
It was 100 buckaroos, but it's a lot. It was amazing too. And I found it at the Calabasas farmers market, which is kind of a rich farmers market. And I found it, and I was wearing my stupid tie-dye and ripped jeans, and I found it, and I was like, somebody goes, "Hey, you dropped that." And I pinned down and I picked it up and I go, $100. I go, this isn't mine. I go, this isn't mine.
You're such a little kid. $100 more?
I did.
Holy
I know. And I go, this isn't mine. And then this rich...
Mom!
This is exactly what everyone else outside of me thought. You guys are like reacting exactly as my girlfriend did. Because I go, what? $100? I go, this isn't mine. And the lady next to me goes, it's yours now. And then the vendor over next to it goes, yeah, you found it. That's yours. And it was like, I thought it was on a prank show.
Right, yeah.
I have a story.
Yeah, so I thought it was on a prank show, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I have someone I can do. And a lady she goes, the universe wanted you to have that. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. You're right. Do you know? And I was like, because before I was like all about doing the right thing and everything. And she's like, yeah. And I really did. There was no one around who wanted it. And all these people kind of came together and said, you get this. No jealousy, no nothing. And I was like, I couldn't believe this beautiful moment that I thought I was genuinely on a prank show. And then Emma was like, were you wearing that? And I was like, yeah, I was wearing this. She's like, you were at the Calabasas farmers market? And I was like, yeah. She's like, they probably thought you really needed that. I was like, it probably was some rich lady who's like, oh, this poor kid. These are all the tomatoes he can buy.
That is so funny.
Also, everyone was afraid that $100 had a coronavirus.
Yeah. It was the last farmers market they were allowed to have before it.
But why is it that we do that? So my story is that I had a similar sort of experience there. I saw money on the ground. I was outside of a smoothie shop here in this area. And again, did I say $20 bill?
No.
Okay, it was a $20 bill. And on the phone, I could see it clearly. And there was a man sitting like 3 feet away. And there was another person sitting maybe 5 feet away in a chair. And there was a woman just walking by me and into the smoothie place. And so I was standing there. There's 1, 2, 3 people around me. There's a $20 bill right there. And I like looked behind me and I looked to the other side. I'm like, nobody's seeing this $20 bill. It's completely right here on the floor. And I had this voice inside of me that said, but don't you take it.
Yeah.
You don't take that $20 bill. That belongs to somebody.
Yeah.
He's going to come back outside and get it in a second.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, but wait a second. And then there was this other voice that was like, no, this is the law of attraction in the universe.
Yeah.
$20, and you saw it, and there are 3 other people around that are it. Maybe they saw it, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But you saw it.
And if some kid came up and was like, that was mine, you'd say, fucking law of attraction. This shit's mine now. It was attracted to me. You're a little shit.
No. So actually, I did not take it.
Good for you.
I left it right there and I walked away.
But you know why you did that? It's not because you didn't feel like you didn't deserve it. It's because in that moment, something in you told you that there's someone else who maybe needed it more. And there's a reason you didn't take it. And maybe, because did you really need that 20? No. At that moment, you really didn't. And you may try and see it as like, well, I didn't feel like I deserved it. But I feel like if that overtook you, someone who is in tune, someone who needed it is the one who found it.
That's beautiful, Jeffrey J. Thank you. Because, I am a human, right? So I have a brain, and my brain questions the clear thoughts, and the brain questions the not so clear thoughts. Like, the brain is going to question everything. So I definitely find myself in this inner conflict sometimes. It's like, what is right? I don't know.
Yeah. But in that moment, that $100, I was going to lose my job the next day, by the way. So apparently that, was a moment of beauty where, that $100 at a farmer's market means I broke even.
There you go.
This rich ass Calabasas farmer's market.
Well, that's cool though too, because people were telling you, hey, this is yours. Like literally, the first person was like, hey, you dropped this. This is yours.
Yeah. When he could have just picked it up, and then the other person, like even me, I think I would have had like some sort of jealousy of someone else, but everyone was like genuinely wanting me to have it. That's why I'm pretty sure everyone just thought I was just some destitute, ripped teens child. But well, this was lovely, guys. We want to end the podcast with some gratitude or a moment of reflection, or is there anything we want to share?
I have some advice. I was thinking, if anybody else is called to do so, or if anything comes up for you guys, I would say do it as well. I didn't tell you guys I was going to do this going in, but I wanted to offer my best advice for the show. My best advice right now is go walk barefoot in the grass.
Yes.
Go touch in with nature.
Yeah.
Any way that you can, do it responsibly.
Yeah, put N90 masks on the bottoms of your feet.
That's right. That's right. But go outside.
Yeah.
Something that we've been telling our children is that Mother Earth is resting right now.
Yeah. Bare feet right now.
Jack just
stuck a foot in. Did that?
And we're telling the kids that part of what's going on is Mother Earth is resting, and I believe that. And
so don't wake her up, just like mommy and daddy.
That's right. That's right. And so let's get into nature. Let's give her a hug. As Hippie Dippy is in my town.
Yeah.
Go hug a tree. I'm telling you, do it. Lay in the grass, but and look up at the sky.
Get some
sun on your skin. Absolutely. Soak in that vitamin D.
Journal outside.
Yeah, journal outside. Yeah, remember when you were in school and all you wanted was like, can we go outside?
Yeah.
Can we go outside for class today? And it's like, why would we do that?
I got a great idea, you guys.
Yeah.
Listeners and us.
Listeners and me.
Let's take a picture and send it in to the Hippie Dippy show.
Yes.
Tag us.
Instagram.com.
At Instagram.com.
Yeah.
If you know how the internet works.
At Hippie Dippy Show. And yeah, send us a picture of your journaling. If you're journaling outside, if you're journaling inside, whatever that looks like to you. And or just maybe your feet in the grass. We all, the three of us.
Yeah, send us feet pics.
Yeah, this is for our private collection. Oh, God. Please.
We're going to light a candle later.
Oh, God. Okay.
I want to see those toes. It's going to haunt me.
Oh, help. But yes, send us pictures, tag us in your stories or on your photos, in your feed of, you, not in your feet, in your feed at Hippie Show. Hippie, spelled normal. Hippie Dippy Show. That's us on Instagram. And you can email us, hippieDippyShow@gmail.com. And yeah, we're open to seeing these pictures of you guys in nature. Anything. What is that funny here?
I just thought you didn't give restrictions.
Yeah.
I care.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Whatever. Get in it.
Send us those nudes.
Woo!
You do not know how to use that English sign whatsoever.
You do. I did that because he does that.
I don't do it for, hey guys, you want to have sex? That's not how it works.
Hey, see me those toes.
Good Lord. And but also send us ideas, suggestions, things that you want to hear us talk about, or some of your self-care or mindfulness or your hippy dippy crazy beliefs.
Yeah.
Probably also down with.
Yes, we have some awesome people sending us some great thoughts. Jamie, she sent us in ketamine therapy. Ketamine therapy.
Yeah, let's get into a K-hole.
So
yeah, and we're gonna have guests, that know what they're talking about, come on and do some specialty topics, and we're excited for that. I do, and I'll mention it next time when we do the touch-in at the top. I think maybe it's a great time for you guys listening or watching wherever you are to pause the show and do your own check-in and touch-in for yourself.
Yeah, or we could do it now, pause it now, and then they could do it now, and then we all react right now. That's beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll just.
I
Bo is.
That's a little.
I was trying to lighten up the mood.
I know. I like that I was this beautiful. Bo was judgy, and you just laughed at him. You just crushed someone.
We love everything, and yeah, we hold space for all you guys. We really do, and yeah, another way of maybe keeping yourself accountable for touch-ins throughout the week. Send us your touch-in at any random moment.
Yeah.
What you're feeling and what you're going through,
Yes.
And let us know about it, because we're here to just hold space or to offer our best advice or different ways of approaching whatever you're dealing with, be it hardships or more joyful things. Whatever it is, we're here for it. And we're here for you guys.
I love that. I would welcome any of that, because I think anyone who's open-minded and open-hearted enough to listen to this is somebody that I would feel very lucky to have, a connection with. So if someone were to send that, that sounds beautiful. Bonus if there's feet in it.
Yeah. Bonus foot shot.
Yeah.
Now, as we do every episode of the 2 episodes, we want to close with a little meditation led by Mrs.
Okay. So go ahead, everyone, folks at home, folks driving.
No.
Take a deep breath.
Oh.
I
don't want them to close their eyes.
That's
okay.
it. It's okay. It's okay. Trust. Take a deep breath. Let yourself laugh. Let yourself smile. Okay. You do not have to have your eyes closed. So this is a little bit of a guidance that's inspired by one of my mentors, Keith Wilson. He, AKA the Chocolate Shaman of Keith's Cacao, and this is called Go to Glow. You can look it up on YouTube. Just take a few more breaths here, breathing in through the nose, filling up through the belly, through the chest, and then breathe out the mouth. Let some of that energy out. Good. And then shift your awareness, not to your brain, okay, not to your mind space either. Shift your awareness and attention to your heart. So it's here in this heart space that we go to glow, that we tap into that radiant energy, the energy of love, the energy of compassion, of peace. And allow that glow to spread to everything below the heart, the low belly, the legs, below the knees, the feet to the tips of your toes, and then above the heart, collarbone. Okay, maybe roll your shoulder heads out a few times here, up, back, down, and around. Perhaps you take your ear to one shoulder to open up the neck, and then take it to the opposite side. And send that glow up through the neck, the crown of the head. So with this glowing, radiant energy that stems from your heart, from your vessel, this is coming from you. This isn't coming from something outside of you. This is coming from you. Remember that you are in choice, that you are in power of your experience here in this life, that you are in choice to send and share this energy with others in your life. That you are never in lack or scarcity with this energy, with this light. And then begin to open up your eyes if you close them. Return to a natural state of breath. And then keep that smile on.
It is.
That glow with you everywhere.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeffrey J.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bo and Cassidy. We love you all. Come find us at Hippie Dippy.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Bye.